Welcome to Tower Wisdom, your podcast for soul growth, healing, and insights from the Akashic Records. I'm Sabine, and it's my honor to have you here. Hello everybody, welcome here and thanks for being here. And today I'm bringing you some exciting stories from my recent trip to the Mayan pyramids in Guatemala, from the jungle, and most importantly, I'm going to do an Akashic reading from the sacred trees of the Mayans, the Ceiba. They call this the first tree. They believe this was like the first, almost like the massive first tree that stood on earth, that connected literally heaven with earth, the underworld, the middle world, which is the human, and the upper world, which is heavens. And I've met this tree in real life in the jungle. I've channeled and connected to it many times while I was there, and it's an absolutely incredible tree. Oh my God, there's just so much wisdom held in this tree, and I wanted to bring it to all of you. The Mayans also believe that our ancestors can be reborn into trees, and in the jungle I came across in many trees like incredible spirits. So there's just so much there's just so much love and wisdom held in these trees. And the Ceiba is, of course, also an ancestors from the giant trees that stood on earth. The giant trees, I'm going to channel from them for Sacred Trees on Earth. My next healing container starts Wednesday. It's the first class we're going to do. And I will do journeying back to these massive giant trees that used to stand on our planet, especially if you remember Lemurian times. You might remember those trees because they were very much present during Lemurian times, and we still have a lot of petrified evidence of them. We have researchers that show us that these massive rocks, or mountains, actually massive mountains that we have, that you have this place right in the United States, is very well known, Devil's Tower, I think it's called modern times, but it's literally, there's researchers that show these are petrified trees, of these massive trees, and you can't imagine the amazing energy they hold, and like so much of the Schumann resonance of Mother Earth, of just incredible. So I'm excited to channel from them, and the Ceiba is one of their ancestors. And if you want to join Sacred Trees of Earth, you can still. We start Wednesday, this week, Wednesday on the 2nd. I've actually just created a payment plan for it. So if that helps in any way, I'm gonna put the link in the show notes. And oh my God, there is so much I want to tell you about my trip to Guatemala. It was absolutely incredible. Absolutely, yeah, so incredible. There's so many layers actually to the history there, also to the Mayan pyramids and to the whole land. And I thought I'm going to go there because of the temples and to learn more about temple science. And in the end, I learned a lot about temples and temple science, but I ended up actually spending much more time talking to trees and channeling with the temples. And there's reasons, it was my own guidance, but there's also reasons because the temples didn't feel good for me energetically. The pyramids, they're pyramids really. And the trees just felt amazing. And there is, I actually made a video about this, that there are much more pure channels coming through when we read the Akashic Records with trees. Obviously, that's a co-creation with Mother Earth, because these are spirits, right? These are high levels of consciousness. They then allow us to see things, but they are, because they're so connected to the Schumann resonance, to Mother Earth, the channels are very pure. And they hold so much wisdom, like much more than like in the pyramids. What you often find, there's a lot of veiling. There's also sometimes an overlay of actually information that's not quite correct. It's almost like a false field false field of information as an overlay. So the energy from the trees is just much more accurate. And beautiful. And absolutely beautiful. So Guatemala, there's much to tell you. Oh my God, and all these layers. So as I said, it was an absolutely amazing trip. First and foremost, you have the Mayan civilization that's still there. There is much though to say about, all these stories about that the Mayans disappeared. There is actually something to say to this. But you have the ancestors. You have the ancestors of the Mayan civilizations. They are still there, really beautiful people. Like you find, I think Guatemala is the country that has still most of their customs and their spirits and the way they dress. And the food was amazing, by the way, the cooking, oh my God. And you can like participate in a lot of their traditional rituals. Traditional ceremonies. So we did a cacao ceremony, and the cacao ceremony was incredible. I've done 2 other cacao ceremonies, one in Panama and one in Manchester. But this one, the Mayan one, was really the most outstanding one, because it involved, with the Mayan ceremony, it was so beautiful. They involve everybody in the group. You always make this altar of flowers first, so it's everybody's energy is going into the creation of the ceremony, and then you involve the land, the spirits of the land, the ancestors, and the cacao. There was so much. The lady who did it, oh my God, she has so much love. Like, there was so much love put into this medicine, and it was truly, because you also deeply connect to the cacao, it was truly medicine. Like, it was a deep medicine, and it was just, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then we did a fire ceremony, and the fire ceremony, also very powerful. I personally, I think, do not fully resonate with fire ceremonies. There's a bit of duality, I feel, in the spirits coming in fire ceremonies. But it was also very powerful, very interesting, also done by a Mayan elder. And what I discovered in Guatemala, or what I came across, was a lot of duality. And it was teaching me a lot also about because we live in this world of duality, right? That we do have to really understand the duality that we currently have, the duality we had in our history, the duality within our belief systems, customs, religions. And to really then take discernment. I think discernment is one of the most important things for us to learn in the coming years. Take discernment and really understand what is actually benefiting our health, our life. Where are we in some sort of disconnect here, or where are we not in integrity with the beliefs we are holding, and where are we actually upholding sacredness of life in the end of the day. And for instance, of the ceremony was really interesting because it was this beautiful Mayan ceremonies, and it involved a lot of, really honoring Mother Earth and honoring like the energies within you and the ancestors. But at the same time, it was done in this place where she lived and her family lived. That was just really, it was like really like kind of like dirty, not tidy. And it made me think that the thing is, if we regard nature as sacred, we regard our body, ourselves as sacred, as this temple. Our body is the most amazing temple we have. Nature, then the next thing is Mother Earth is a temple. If we regard all of this as sacred, then we're going to treat all of this as sacred. So our living environment needs to be a reflection of this. So how we keep our house, and it doesn't matter, where we live, how big the house is, what we have in the house, but just the simple things of like living in a clean and tidy environment says so much about our inner state, right? Our inner state of emotions, our inner purity, and how we deal internally with life. And I think this internal dealing with life needs to also then be reflected external. So everything needs to be held sacred. And that I found interesting. But this duality came back in more things. Then you have, of course, you have from the Mayans, there is incredible knowledge. Like when you look at their calendar system, so sophisticated. They also believe, like, they hold tree, they're quite connected to nature. They hold trees sacred. They understood bees are coming from the gods. So there is this, oh my God, I came across this incredible bee, stingless bee that they're having there, that's producing this very medicinal honey. And I managed to get some honey home. And I'm dreaming. I'm trying to dream with the honey, with the bees, so that they can give me some further insights, because there's so many layers to this civilization, so much to understand. So I want to have some further insights, further understanding. But yeah, so incredible. The bees are absolutely incredible there. But you have this connection to nature. But then on the other hand, you have this calendar system, which is very advanced, but at the same time, it made me think. We had this really interesting conversation about this obsession with time we are having, and all these systems we created around defining who we are and around time, like astrology, human design, all these calendar systems. And I love astrology too. But I think we should, as humans, we should not get too hung up on this. Like, we can really get it can imprison us to be so obsessed with time, and so obsessed with systems that tell us who we are and tell us the days or the energy. Like the Mayan system, it tells you the energy of every day, and there's many other systems that do this too, and then tell you, on this day you should be doing this, on this day you should be doing this. And to me, like, I don't know, that doesn't resonate. I think as humans, we should be much more listening to ourselves internally. Like what internally, what do I feel today called to? Do I feel like creative? Do I feel inspired? Or do I feel like I need a day of rest? And I love, for instance, for the Mayan system from the Mayan system that, there's these elements of really honoring ancestors, having days to honor ancestors, or to do forgiveness, and or to connect to the elements of nature. And I think that is all really important. That kind of is very beneficial to us. But then I feel we can be more fluid on when we do this and how we do this. We don't need rigid systems that tell us exactly when and how to do things, because then we outsource our power. We give power to something else, basically. It's just like now, with AI, it can be used for good and bad. And if we totally start to rely on it, it basically, totally disconnects us from our own intuition, from our inner knowing. It's from our brain as well, because, you don't need to think anymore. Just believe whatever your eye says, even though, it's not going to be necessarily the truth, So I think there is really this balance to be found between kind of systems, technology, and nature. Because we are from nature, we are from Mother Earth. And this was the beautiful duality that I found in Guatemala. And then also with the pyramids is really interesting, because there are many layers. I think there is this whole true galactic feeling to these pyramids. So when you go into the areas where they have them, and actually the jungle is full, they have thousands and thousands. I'm talking about like figures like in the 100,000s of pyramids in the jungle that are just under trees, under the soil. But when you come into these areas, you feel this real strange eeriness in the air, like as if you are entering a different place. And there is some true galactic feeling to it. And you can, in the Akashic Records, but also just in the feeling, you can see like plasma beings and plasma starships. But then there's also this deeper connection. There are some connections there to inner earth and actually to timelines. There are many different connections to timelines there, I feel. There is this much older connection that goes back to more like inner earth, Lemuria, like pure sacred waters. Oh my God. Speaking of sacred waters, actually the temples didn't feel good to me, and I will tell you why. But the pyramids. But then we were at Lake Atitlan, which is absolutely amazing. If you go to Guatemala, really visit Lake Atitlan, and you can neglect the crazy hippie spiritual community there, but there is such a there is an incredible energy about the lake itself. Is surrounded by these 5 volcanoes, and in the lake itself there are submerged temples, Atlantean temples supposedly, but the lake has, I feel the lake almost also has this energy that goes back all the timelines, either beginning Atlantis or really Lemuria, more like this true feminine Mother Earth energy, sacredness of life kind of energy. Is very special. Lake Atitlan is very special. Like my best memories from the trips, and this is also where we had the cacao ceremony, was really directly on the lake. It was just, I don't know, it was incredible. Okay, let's go. So there is this whole older energy there, and I believe the Mayans, there are different sort of Mayan, not different, but well, maybe there are different times to the Mayan civilization. There is this very much more pure Mayan, very highly advanced, highly evolved Mayan civilization. And then there's also this connection even to inner earth, to more like kind of Lemurian times. And then there is this quite darker history, actually, which you can still feel very much today, and you're also going to come across a lot, because this is sort of the latest research and the latest evidence you see of the temples. This is also where I personally think these temples might have been reused by different civilizations in a way, or different, so at different times and different levels of consciousness and different levels of duality. And we have this everywhere in the world. There's also these underground cities, there are underground tunnels. The temples might have been even repurposed, refunctioned, rebuilt in certain ways. There's might be bigger temples or bigger pyramids. I'm actually talking about pyramids, sorry. I'm talking about pyramids. I don't know why I call them temples. But yeah, so there is this more recent history of them, which is clearly more recent, because the way they are currently built now, these step pyramids, they are more recent than what you find like the megalithic pyramids in Egypt, which is a different type of building that uses more advanced technology. But still, even with the step pyramids there now, we do not have the technology to build them this day, which is crazy when you think about it. We cannot rebuild Greek temples, any type of pyramids. We do not have the knowledge or technology to do that. So anyway, but this is the more recent episode you see there, that you also I don't know, there's also like scriptures and everything. This is quite dark, because in the more recent episode of use of these pyramids, you have a very clear link to the Anunnakis. When you look at the gods they supposedly worship there, you can clearly see that these are the same gods that we have in Sumeria and Mesopotamia, Anunnaki gods. And you find, very typical with the Anunnaki gods, you find a lot of hierarchical structures, very patriarchal. They only talk about the man, even with the king. I was asking the tour guide at some point, were there any women like in high positions or in anything? No. The king might have had a wife, but she was never ruling. It's very patriarchal, very hierarchical. Like all the power, all the knowledge is held on top. And then you had the average population, which supposedly what they believe right now is that the average population lived just in these bamboo huts houses. They didn't even have a sewer system. They didn't have schools. They didn't have anything sophisticated that indicates that they had a half decent life and a half comfortable life. So while you have these massive pyramids that with a technology that we cannot replicate today, you have the king's palace that was grand and big, but then you have no decent houses. They have not found any type of decent housing for the normal population, and they're estimating, because there's so many of these pyramids, they estimated that millions lived there. Millions of people estimated to have lived there, but no, they didn't have any houses that survived. They didn't have kitchen, sewer systems, like anything that we have that gives us a comfortable, a decent, fairly decent life, while they had at the same time technology, because pyramids are technology that is more advanced than what we have today. So you see, there's things, either it was at that time a civilization that was totally kept in misery, and the only wealth, the only knowledge was with the king and then these semi-Anunnaki gods that at times appeared, or it was entirely different than we think, and the civilization wasn't quite as physical as we are now. You know, we don't know. It's yeah, a lot of mysteries there, But okay, if we consider what we find currently in, you know, what kind of evidence we have from archaeology currently, and from, you know, scrolls found, scriptures found, then it's this idea that there was this massive population, millions of people that were kept in really very basic living conditions. All the power was with the king, all the knowledge as well. They didn't even have schools, right? There was no knowledge transfer, supposedly. So all the knowledge was with the king. And then occasionally these semi-Anunnaki gods appeared, and these semi-Anunnaki gods needed worshipping, because that's also something very Anunnaki, worshipping. And the type of worshipping they did was supposedly a lot of ceremonies that involved blood sacrifices, that involved bloodletting, but also animal and human sacrifices. And the thing is, with any type of blood, ceremonies involving blood sacrifices especially, but also bloodletting or drinking of blood, this is actually Satanistic practice. This is harming. It's harming the harmony on earth. It's harming the divine mother energies on earth. It's harming Mother's Earth own, you know, frequencies of life and of beauty. It's Satanistic. And what happened, what I could really feel, because the energy, I was not feeling good at the temples, because, or at the pyramids, because I think I definitely tuned into this. There is definitely a truth to this timeline, where there were all these blood sacrifices, because you can feel in the energy this absolute heaviness. There are some places we went to that literally felt like you're going into a ceremony. Not a ceremony. Yes, there were ceremonies. No, you're going into a cemetery, a place where people were buried. But yeah, a place of the dead. So very heavy, at times very heavy energy. And what happens as well, if you have, so pyramids are their technology. It's incredibly advanced technology. And this technology, and I will explain in my next course, after Sacred Trees of Earth, I'm going to explain you these incredible technologies of pyramids and temples. With this technology, you can do a couple of amazing things. You can create energy, you can create healing, you can reach higher, like you can create energy fields that allow higher states of consciousness. You can open portals. Now, the technology, though, can be used for good and bad. So the same with healing. If you spend a certain amount of time in a temple or pyramid, it's beneficial for your health. Too much time, it's detrimental. It's turning it around, right? You actually going to get sick. We are not meant to sleep in pyramids or temples, because we cannot deal with that type of energy for a long period of time. And I will explain to you in the course why this is very there is physics behind this. This is literally scientific. But the thing is that when you can also open portals, right? And you can open portals to the most harmonious, most beneficial frequencies. So for instance, what they did in Malta is a total different side. And that's also something I understood from my own work, is that the sites where I feel good, the sites where I really want to report on, right, where I want to talk about, in the sites where I don't feel good and where I don't actually want to spend too much. I think we need to understand them to not repeat that history, but yeah, I need to use some discernment around it. But like Malta, totally different, right? Malta, same technology in the way, because it's the technology of like pyramids, temples, megalithic sites, how do you call them, stone circles. It's all the same technology behind it. It's all the same science, the same physics, science behind it. But what you do with it is different. So in Malta, for instance, right, they did not worship any semi-gods. They really built a site in reference to the feminine energy, to honor the feminine, to promote that energy, to promote fertility, promote life, promote sacredness of life. So they also opened portals. The energy they poured in was harmonious. And that is still to this day proven, like by the sound frequencies of especially the hypogeums. These are harmonious frequencies that bring our cells into equilibrium, literally, that promote cell regeneration, cell growth, like that promote positive attributes, basically. Now, the thing is, so you can open these portals to these beautiful sound frequencies, right, in any type of sacred sites. At the same time, though, you can also open portals to the lower astral plane to bring in demonic entities. And this generally happens when you have mass ceremonies that involve blood sacrifices. And then plus you have the science of a pyramid, where you have physics behind that allow you to open portals. When you then have a lot of people, or you don't even need a lot of people, but you have the pyramid itself, it acts as a portal, and then you create something like imagine a ceremony where like a blood sacrifice is involved. That creates a lot of fear. The Mayan pyramids, they said they were painted red, and they have these big masks on it. The masks are scary. The faces on the mask are scary. So imagine you going into a place that's all painted red. We don't have any other pyramids in the world are not painted that color, because that color is just it invokes things in us. It's not really bringing you into a state of calmness. It's a very activating. It can come across very scary. So imagine, okay, you have these massive, hundreds of meter tall pyramids, all red, with all these big masks, like reliefs on it that show these faces that look quite scary, quite demonic. And then you have a ceremony where somebody at the end is going to get sacrificed. You can just imagine how much fear that is producing. And that can open portals to the lower astral, to bring in all kind of demonic forces. And the thing is with the astral, so it's really important to understand we have our third D reality, and the fourth D is the astral. And the fourth D is tied to our third D. It's tied to the matrix, it's part of the matrix. And within the fourth dimension, you have the same duality as we have here. So within the astral realm, you have like light and darkness. You have all kind of also like darker entities. And when people say they are getting attacked by darker entities, this is coming from the lower astral. So so that history is there too. And And you can still feel it sometimes in the energy. And what I learned there, because I was not going up on the pyramids after I did it once, and then I was really like, nope, this doesn't feel good here. I'm not going up on the pyramid here. Energetically, it doesn't feel good for me. But what I did then, I basically meditated with the trees around, and the trees are so amazing. The jungle, absolutely amazing. And the trees actually, they connected me to this more pure energy that's there too, the older timelines of the Mayan civilization, of the culture, the older timelines of, I think, these pyramids as well, when there was less of this duality, less of these dark rituals. And they showed me, actually, they taught me that you can cleanse, like the area, the soil can be cleansed of this darkness. And the trees did it. Is absolutely incredible, because what happens in these mass ceremonies, rituals that involve like, these practices that are basically worshipping Satan, like blood sacrifices, etc. The souls that are sacrificed, it's quite hard for the soul to have a proper journey off the planet. So fragments of the soul or the full souls can get trapped in the astral, and then that's sometimes what we perceive as like ghosts, or more kind of, I don't know, more difficult entities within the astral as well, but they can be released. And I think this is a big work for us to do in the years forward, is as we are also clearing and we are healing things of duality that have happened in our third dimension, like the wars, the slavery, the things that are happening to children, to women, etc. As we are healing that, we are clearing that slowly from the third dimension, but it's also being cleared from the fourth dimension. And so from the astral plane, because these souls basically then go back, they go on, they have a proper way out of the planet, and can then go on and be reunited with because it's often fractals of the soul, it can then be reunited with the full soul and come more in wholeness themselves. And we are also clearing out a lot of these dark entities, right, that are part of a lot of the duality within the astral plane too, within the fourth dimension. And what is helping us tremendously, I realized, in Guatemala is nature, are the trees, the very pure essence in nature, and also this connection to inner earth and all the timelines where we had this balance, where we didn't have that much duality, and where we had like these sacred waters, where we didn't engage in any of these practices. And it's almost like I don't know, I felt so much of the spirit. That's why I also felt it there. This was a layer that was just deeper than the more recent history, where this really pure, heart-centered Mayan spirit came through. And I also, in the cacao ceremony, we had this especially. This was such a heart-centered spirit, and this came so much through the nature. And this is also, I feel, where everywhere in the world, not just at these historic sites, but everywhere in the world, where we can basically help nature or co-create with nature as humans to release the pollution. Because like the darkness shows up in many ways. It shows up in pollution, it shows up in dark entities, but it shows up in duality, but in all kind of things. But right where we can clear this off together with nature, together with the trees, together with water, together with the soil, etc. And the animals too. The animals actually were incredible in the jungle. We had many animals really wanted to give us many messages, like especially the birds. And I felt the birds almost like the same sort of thing, as if the birds are coming back from an older timeline, like almost Lemurian or beginning Atlantis, where, because there is this thing right there, I read this somewhere, that people saying like Atlantean, the original light language of Atlantis goes back to bird language. And where the birds, they came up, they flew up. We did this one really beautiful meditation at sunrise at one of the pyramids, and then the sun was rising, and this bird came up so close to us and was talking nonstop. And I don't know, it was a really incredible moment. And I just feel there is these messages from Mother Nature for us, of how we can basically integrate this duality, right? And how we can clear it. And it's not just, the thing is, like, a lot of it is the external clearing, but most happens actually within us, right? Because this duality that we see, even these timelines, right, of these Satanistic practices, it's still a part, it's still within us, in a sense that it's just a representation of the duality we hold within. So we have to ask within ourselves, right, if we're doing practices that are harming life within our shadows, like, are we, like, internally, in our internal world, doing things that harming us, like, for instance, not listening to our intuition, like having these really negative self-talks, hating ourselves, right, hating our body, shaming ourselves, like not loving ourselves, all these things. It's just all these, whatever you call them, entities, Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them, all these leaders that did these practices, us doing these practices. It's just a reflection, in the end of the day, of what is also within. And as we are healing more what is within, we are also healing the land, we are healing the history on these sacred sites, and we are coming much more back into holding all of life sacred, and much more having this discernment, understanding which practices are we going to keep on our planet going forward, because there is much to say about sacred ceremony, right? There's much to say about coming together. There is incredible positive technology in these pyramids and temples, and we just have to use it for good. We just have to really understand, how are we going to use it for good in co-creation with Mother Earth to really benefit everyone? To not have these hierarchical societies where we worship like some sort of whatever semi-god kind of thing, but no, where we literally just live in honor to life, and come together as community. And I felt this very much in the Mayan spirit too, that they're also teaching us that, this coming together in community. Like, I loved in the ceremonies we did in the cacao, or those in the fire, when we came together and we made the altar with the flowers. It was it was like everybody poured into the creation of that altar with the flowers. Everybody poured in like their own creativity, they poured in their own wishes, but they also poured in what they wanted to release, what they were working on internally. It was a very internal process that then was externalized, but in a beautiful way, right? We didn't do like some sort of crazy Satanistic rituals. No, we created a beautiful altar with flowers. So that's what I mean, like taking these traditions, this history, and really looking at to what actually helps us as humanity, what guides us forward, and what helps us to really heal, also really deeply heal and deeply integrate the duality within us, and know it. Yes, it's part of us, it's part of our history, and we are slowly, very slowly evolving and growing into times where we don't have this extended duality. That means we are destructing, we are harming life, So yeah, it's some beautiful teachings I had from Guatemala. Yeah, it was an incredible trip, and I hope it didn't get too dark in what I told you, but I feel sometimes we have to talk about it, because otherwise we're just going to repeat the past. And yeah, we have to talk about it, understand it, but at the same time really know what we're going to want to focus on, and what we want to carry on forward. So I want to hear now from the Ceiba, because this is such an incredible tree that really, this Ceiba really also showed me how this darkness can be just released out of the astral, out of the also more physical layers, and how like there was this beautiful moment where I connected to one of the trees, just heart to heart, like really heart chakra to heart chakra with the tree, and it was incredible. It was so beautiful, and this is like really human. I really believe as humans, it's not natural for us to do any of these practices that harm or live in these very patriarchal, hierarchical societies. That's not natural for us as humans. I really think we are such pure souls, and of course we had our evolution. We went through we went through our own learnings as humans, our own different layers of exploring our own duality. But I think we are such beautiful, pure souls. And I think our history honestly goes back far, far older than we think. I do not believe anymore in the story that the Anunnaki created us. I do not believe that anymore. I think we really go back long, long time before we had any history with them, and go back much, Lemuria, much before that, and that the earliest pyramids were all our technology, and we created this incredible technology. And it's just, us now remembering truly. I think we are on this path of remembering truly who we are, and how we used to live, and really reactivating so much of our DNA that is all there dormant. I think it's all there within us. And coming much more back into this harmony with Mother Earth. I think in the end, actually, I think we are a child of her, of Mother Earth. We are her most beautiful and most incredible creation. So, yeah. Now, let's hear from the Ceiba. And invite you to also just tune into yourself and imagine for a moment this beautiful large tree, almost overtowering the jungle. It's a very ancient tree with roots deep into the soil, deep into the ground, reaching almost like to the heart of Mother Earth. And then with branches reaching up to the sky and overlooking everything. This is the perspective the Ceiba gives us. Down from our roots, from the core, up to this eagle eye perspective of everything. Just imagine you're touching this beautiful ancient tree and connecting truly from your heart to it. As I'm going to open the records with permission. Now, from the stars we come, to the stars we return. Travelers through time, space, and dimension in the infinite spiral of life. Divine protection surrounds us as we are held by the Divine Mother and guided by the Divine Father. Our ancestors walk with us every step. Love is at the core of our essence as we give in service and receive with gratitude. As we now enter the sacred halls of the Akasha, we receive love, we honor the truth, and we are grateful for the messages given in humbleness and service and in gratitude, connecting to the love and the light of Mother Earth and Source. I would like to open the Akashic Records of the Ceiba tree. You have permission. The Akashic Records of the Ceiba are now open. The Ceiba, I'm inside the tree, and it feels like this massive. It's like this tunnel that goes up and down, and it is like this massive connector portal, and it's connecting the different worlds, different realms of Earth. So it's reaching out of our own, what we see now. It's reaching out of the own, like the fourth, like the current, the band, the frequency band we are on, and it's reaching further and further. So it can really, like, it's almost like I see and this is incredible. I see the top branches. It's reaching into a different timeline. And I see the birds there. And you know how I was saying earlier that the birds bring us messages from different frequency bands around Earth and different timelines? It is almost like that, because the birds are up there. They're at the top of the branches, and they are in a different, they are in almost a different reality on Earth. And our reality is quite gray, and the other reality around Earth is like really this beautiful flowers, and the birds are there, and it's they're, oh wow, okay. In this other reality, there's all kind of beings, creations. We are very tall. There's something like some giants or something. We are quite tall. But there's different. There's just a lot of different. The different creations. There's like animals. There is different humanoid. Creations, tall ones, but also ones that are more like our size. There's also smaller ones. So it's like everybody is living there together. It's quite harmonious. Okay, this is at the top of the branches. This is where it's reaching to. And bees are also up there, going very high. That's why they're considered the messengers of God, but birds too. Birds are also up there. It's almost like this is like, like how we could create heaven on earth. Like heaven is literally, it's a way of coming together and living. It's living really in harmony with creation. And in flow, they're saying it's like in flow with creation, like a natural flow. And I see this up there in this different frequency band reality. I see this is like a stream of water. It's almost like creation flows in a stream. While down here, okay, this is very interesting. Down here, creation flows in a circle. While up there, creation is a water stream. So it's also infinite. But it doesn't flow as much as in a circle as here. And it's almost like, okay, this circular movement we're having, it's like things repeating itself. While up there, it's things are not necessarily repeating all the time. Like history is not repeating. Like we have this thing here, where history is just repeating and repeating and repeating itself. But there, it's like this stream that's flowing forward. You know, it's like this endless stream, but it's not repeating. And at times it's when we tune into this place, it feels like we're tuning into heaven, because it's like an energy that is all one with creation. It's this endless flow of creation. It's more an is it an infinite? It's interesting. It's both infinite. The same, our circular movement is also infinite, but this feels somehow different. It's a different infinite. And I'm seeing us sitting next to the tree now. I'm sitting with the back, leaning onto it, and it's like really this coming home and this coming into this frequency that I'm describing, this different frequency band that feels, it is like very colorful and lit up and quite very harmonious, like all kind of different creations, like, you know, animals, all kind of different beings there. That it's like us, like almost like we have it within us as well. When we truly tune in to nature, we have this. And it's interesting, like souls can travel through the trees. Souls used to. So when we had the giant trees on earth, souls used to travel for incarnation, for coming in and coming out through these trees. They literally used to travel through these trees and coming from this higher realm, I would say, this God heavenly realm, how you would describe it. And then coming here. And it's almost like, you know, the tree is going through all these band of dimensions, like from first, second, third, fourth, fifth, up. It's going all the way. You know, it's going like all these layers. And it's also the journey of the soul to experience itself, and the journey of source to experience everything that is of source. And it's important to understand that even the lower, like where the tree reaches, you know, its branch, what the Mayans used to call the underworld, it is also of source. It's like, but it's almost like the most, it's the darkest place. It's most the place that is most deprived of light, but it is also it's a tree reaching everything, right? It's also of source. It's like it's the same of God of source as the place up there that seems like very heavenly. And you should take it. We like, it's almost like as humans, we are here on earth, we are in this in-between space where we really are meant to, it's really a learning place of duality, and where we're really meant to combine these different forces within us and integrate these different forces within us. The ones that are almost like feel removed from the light, like it's like feeling removed from source, but at the same time being total oneness with source. You know, in the tree, it's the bridge. It's a bridge between these states of consciousness of us feeling total removed from source, total removed from unity, even from ourselves, and the state of total oneness. And it's this remembering when we could deeply connect to trees that we are both at times. Like, it's just like how we flow through life, we are at all times actually oneness with source, but at times we feel disconnected. But it's also part of our experience. It's almost like, God wants to experience himself through this. Like, you need to have the darkness to actually see the light. You can't have light without darkness, and vice versa. And and it's us also here on earth learning to master both of these places. Like, to master, like, I want to go down now because I was up there in sort of the heavenly place. Now, where you find the birds, the tree, the bees, birds, and then different heavenly ways of living. And I want to go travel down now to the roots, down into what they call the underworld. Okay, so this is very interesting. When I first traveled down in the tree, the first thing, because I felt, okay, I'm going down into the underworld, was kind of like, was a sense of fear coming in. But when I'm going just more into the darkness, there's actually this, it's hard to describe, but you know how we are also sometimes describing the womb as this place of darkness, and the inside of the tree like as this place of darkness, but it's not a scary darkness. It's a darkness that births the light, that births new creation, and it's the place of, like, it's a place of nothingness, but also a place of oneness. It's very interesting. It's it's almost just fear is our own projection in the mind. Like, being in this place of darkness, but we automatically attach fear to darkness. But actually, this darkness here, it is just, fear is literally just what is in my mind, but it's when I go deeper just into my heart, there is a great peace in this darkness, and there is this place where all life births from. So that's what I'm saying, like, everything that's in the universe, it's coming from source. Everything is coming from source, and everything we reject and we see just as external is a part that we are rejecting internal. And everything that we are also scared of, we have to understand that, if there is nothing actually that can truly harm us. The only thing that harms ourselves is almost like this disconnection from knowing we are always part of source. And the feeling I'm getting is just like, being comfortable in the depths of our own soul. Because this place of the, I don't know, maybe for the tree you would call it the underworld, where its roots reaching deep down into, it's a part of our soul. And yes, they are, I see these sort of little ghosts and things in here, but it's almost like made up of our mind. And I'm getting this feeling of almost like cultivating the sense of being truly at peace within ourselves and truly at peace within darkness. Because darkness isn't the absence of light. So I paused for a moment because I just wanted to sit in this space here at the bottom of this incredible tree, at the bottom of the roots. And it feels like, sometimes for rites of passages, people go into, for instance, go into the woods. We say for a rites of passage, we have to go into the underworld. This is also a Mayan teaching. This is a teaching in many cultures. We have to go into our own underworld, into our depths of our soul, into the darkness, into the fears. And this is very much what I'm feeling here. It's like, almost like, sometimes people are, for these rites of passages, they are sent into the woods and they have to spend the night there, right, and face all of their fears. And this is exactly what I'm getting here. It's like almost as if I'm sitting in a dark wood at night and dark forest, and there are all these things you can be fearful about. There's an animal gonna come that's gonna eat you. There's a snake that's gonna bite you, whatever it is. And here, because it's a jungle, the Ceiba is in the jungle, right? So I'm seeing the snake, and the snake that's gonna bite you, or it's like luring me into something dark or something like that. And there is, when you sit very still here and you really center in yourself and you kind of you truly feel the fear within your physical body. Like you feel that sensation wherever it is, in the chest or in the lower, wherever it is. You just feel the fear you're having. There is this moment where you're recognizing that actually you are one. Like whatever you are fearful about, you are one with it. Like, you are one, like in this case, right? I'm in the darkness in the jungle at night. So I'm actually one with the snake, that I might be fearful about. I'm one with the soil. I'm one with the darkness even. I'm one with everything here. I'm one with the animals that are howling, and I'm one with it. I am it. And so it cannot have power over me in a sense, like, because I'm not separated from it. I think the moment we give anything power is when we feel this separation. When we feel separated from source, from anything, we come into this place of, disempowerment. But when you, I just feel how powerful these rites of passages are, how powerful actually, these sayings are of, we have to go, I think especially on earth, because we have this duality on earth, right? We have these, we can reach like through, inner cultivation, we can reach these very high states of consciousness, we can reach this these experiences that bring us up to heaven, right? Bring us up, as we say, to the light, bring us up to this, truly feelings of being enlightened. But it's so interesting that when we are within this enlightenment, this light, we feel the oneness, like just what I just described as the branches that lead up to the state of heaven, and you feel the oneness. But at the same time, I'm now deep down in the roots, in the earth, in the darkness, in the places that usually give immense fear. But once I feel the fear, I also feel oneness. I feel exactly the same as what I felt up there with all the light. And you know what I find so interesting? I saw up there the bees, and the birds as well. But the same here, and bees, they're making their nests in trees in the darkness. So it's the same, this rites of passage, right? Where you go into your own depth, into your own shadows, into your fears primarily. And through really, almost integrating them, because feeling them in your body, you reach the state, you go beyond the fear. And you reach the state of oneness. Exactly as you could reach when you are just, practicing some level of enlightenment. It's this both. You have to, this is just what I'm getting here. It's these rites of passage that do involve going into the underworld. And we have this, right? We have this throughout mythology in also with the goddesses, right? The goddesses that went into the underworld, like Kali, like Persephone, that all went into this underworld and had to go into the underworld, into the darkness, into the extreme duality, right? And almost face the fear, face the separation, almost this feeling of separation from God, from Source, to actually realize, no, I'm never separated. I'm never separated. In the deepest darkness, there is the light of God. And the tree says, so it is. That's what the tree wanted to tell. I'm just going to close the records. Gratitude, service, and humbleness to the tree. So it is. Akashic Records are now closed. Now, I hope you could feel this with me. This was beautiful because it was a very physical experience in my body. It was something I really wanted to move into, when I channel from the records, to embody it more physically. And this is really what this tree gave me. I really could feel in my body, what it feels like to be, up in heaven states, and when you think your crown explodes and you're one with the light, with God, and the same in the darkness when you have this rites of passage, when you also feel I've integrated my fears, and I'm also one with Source. So yeah, absolutely beautiful. And that's one of these Mayan teachings, because there were so much about this the underworld, the middle world, and the upper world, right? And I think there's a lot of profoundness in these teachings, and even from their history, right? I think even their history actually showed us exactly this experience from the extremely, I think, balanced, advanced Mayan civilization that practice a lot of harmony, practice a lot of healing rituals. And I'm thinking back of the cacao ceremony, but also back in times connecting to these healing waters of the cenotes of Lemuria, so much healing. There's so much incredible light. And then at the same time, you have the history, right, of the blood sacrifices. So it's all this duality coming together and teaching us about integrating the shadows. Because even when we're thinking about, right, these practices that harm the sacredness of life, they're also just a representation of the shadows within us, and just to integrate it all. and to learn from it all, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tree. Now, if you want some more tree magic, you can still join until Wednesday, Sacred Trees of Earth. We're going to do some more channelings with, oh my God, so many amazing trees. We're also going to go really deep into the Celtic trees. There's so much wisdom. I'm also doing a course for myself right now that I'm attending as a student around Celtic Druid knowledge, because I'm very interested in that kind of stuff right now. And I also wanted to tell you I am keeping the podcast here on this platform because I realized having these having history rewritten and tarot wisdom on separate things and two separate things just doesn't work for me. I'm just no, everything I'm doing is actually the same, me channeling from the land and channeling from these sacred sites, which is again channeling from the land. It brings healing in people, right? Because when we understand our history, it is so profound healing that comes. It's the same as channeling personally for people, doing my healing courses. It's all the same. So I just I cannot just split it in two, but you bear with me. Thank you for bearing with me, because I'm a 3/5 in human design. So I learn through experimentation. I learn through trying things and seeing that works. No, that doesn't work. So if you follow me, you will just go on this little ride with me where I'm trying things, and they work, and then I'm changing them up again because they don't work for me. So I think I'm going to integrate it all back into one potentially also one website, just one Instagram, because it drives me crazy thinking about what am I posting here, what am I posting there. It's actually all the same. So thanks. Thanks for being with me here on this wild ride through life. It's always fun, never a dull moment. So I hope the tree brought you a lot of also own beautiful realization. So much beautiful nature out in the world, and Guatemala was amazing if you travel there yourself. Really, I definitely recommend immersing yourself also really in the Mayan culture, not just going to the pyramids, because there's all kind of energies over there, but really also learning about the culture. I wish we would have learned even much more would have spent more time actually with the Mayan elders. I would have loved actually if we went with some Mayan elders to the pyramids and see what they have to say. I would actually be so interested around what they have to say about their history there. But really immerse yourself in that culture, because it's so fascinating, so much to learn from, and beautiful people, beautiful country, beautiful food. Go to Lake Atitlan. It's just amazing. Lake Atitlan. Swim there. Do swim there. Yes, swim there. The waters are magical. Truly magical. So I wish you a lovely 2 weeks. Then I have some new magic for you. Love you all. Okay, bye. If you want to know more about soul growth, healing, and the Akashic Records, check out my social media channels and my website at taowisdom.net.